Excellent. We'll call the meeting to order. Please disclose any pecuniary interest when they arise. We welcome our YouTube guests who are watching. Tonight we have no correspondence and no delegations, so we'll move right to new business. And I'll hand it over to Teresa to go through the update and the following reports.
Thanks very much. So if you can, in the agenda package on page 1, I'll start with our COVID update. And as everyone is probably aware, that on April 1st, the province announced that they were putting the brakes on for 4 weeks, starting on April 3rd. But then there was a follow-up announcement on, what was it? I believe it April 16th, that there would be a stay-at-home order starting Saturday, April 17th. So right now, all the halls continue to be closed. The outdoor amenities are closed. So the basketball court slash ball hockey court, tennis courts are locked. But you may use, residents may use the playground equipment. That is still open. But that is essentially the only thing that is open in Parks and Recreation from any of the amenities. I should clarify that the track, we sort of see an extension of the trail system. So we're pretty confident that that's okay to use too, keeping physically distancing in mind. And then also too with, I did put this in here with weddings, funerals, religious services, because we do host those in the hall, that there could be, I guess we could technically host, provided it was within the 10 maximum. And again, physically distancing. One of the key things for us that we were able to confirm, municipal infrastructure. So our construction projects are permitted. And so we are able to proceed with the renovations of the arena and the building of the new East Lambton Community Complex, new portion of the community hall, gymnasium, YMCA. So that was exciting for us to be able to continue with our projects. I'll continue on.
Yep, continue
and just
on.
Interrupt anytime anybody has a question. Oh, and I should say too that we asked, I believe it, this current order goes until I believe May 20th, which is right before the civic or the Victoria Day weekend. And so until we have more information, we're not quite sure what we'll be doing with our programs yet this summer. But we will, as per usual, Parks and Recreation Committee will get an update, just like our users do. So when we send it out, we'll be doing follow-ups with Parks and Rec, because we do not have another meeting in May. The next meeting, I believe, is in June. So we'll be sure to update Parks and Rec Committee. The community arena, as I said, it was closed to the public and the ice was removed. And the arena did receive a full cleaning. We continue to monitor the building on a regular basis, and the new condenser was installed the first week of April. So they're just finishing up. And so what's great about that is that we were able to do it when the ice was out, but before construction on the new project started, so that we didn't have an overlap on projects at the site. So that worked out well. And I forgot to put in here too that our staff were doing a tool blitz along with the Public Works Department, and they completed that process for the arena, which is phenomenal because you can probably imagine in the tunnels, like everything that we've had stored there over many, many, many years was all sorted and recycled, and it's all been cleaned out. So the staff did an amazing job on that. The halls, again, they are closed to the public, but we do monitor the buildings on a regular basis. So for insurance purposes, but also to ensure that, you know, if there's any sort of vandalism or any issues or problems, that we're right on top of that stuff. And to date, I'll knock on wood, but we have not had any issues. Okay, our parks and downtown. So the Watford Warwick Horticultural Society again donated trees through the township's tree program. The township staff picked those trees up on this past Thursday and planted them in accordance to the Horticultural Society's locations. They identified the locations in Memorial Park. So that process has been completed, and Parks and Rec staff will continue to provide maintenance to those trees, so regular watering. I've had a meeting with the Watford Warwick Horticultural Society, and for the 2021 plans, which we had in place, had discussed at our final meeting last year and in the fall, and we've got everything sorted out for this year. So it's things are looking good. They've had their planters ordered from last year, and we'll be looking at doing that beginning of June. So usually after the May long weekend, so we're looking at the beginning of June to get the planters up and getting the hanging baskets up and the planters planted. And then we've also had further discussions on the planning and for the I'm tongue-tied tonight, Bluebird Parquet project that was brought to this committee last fall. And they are getting an updated quote, the Horticultural Society, and we're reviewing again just to see if there's anything from a Parks and Rec or a township perspective that needs to be looked at. So for example, electrical, water, those type of things. So we've had those discussions, and I'm just waiting for them now to get back to me, and we'll move that forward. The Watford Warwick Ballpark. So the netting was not completed in 2020. We do now. I've met with the contractor, and we have set an agreed upon goal date to complete by May 28th, 2021. So just after the long weekend, given that the stay-at-home order is in effect till May 20th. And again, this is a project that we can continue to work on as a municipality. We don't see ball, if we're able to start ball, not starting it before June, given the stay-at-home order and then the long weekend. We are looking at changing out the poles, the wooden poles, to steel because of the ease of getting steel as opposed to wooden poles, and it's easier for them to be able to work with.
Martina?
Since we're talking about the ballpark, I was just wondering if there's any update on the canteen there. Like, I know there was some work being done there, and also what's happening with the people that we have a lease with in order to run that canteen.
Yep, I do owe them a follow-up response. We are looking at May to get the work done in the canteen to hopefully be open in June. And so that would be, again, the new fire suppression system and exhaust hood. Part of the issue will be getting materials for projects, but we're looking at May to get that project completed before a ball season would start. Did that answer your question, Martina?
Yeah, I was wondering where we were with the renos, and then if it's going to be able to run, like if there's no baseball, or is the canteen still able to be open, or what are the plans there?
Yeah, and then we'll have a discussion about that. They'll be situated, if everything goes as planned, they would have the ability to be able to be open, provided there aren't COVID restrictions that do not permit their opening. That would be the barrier. The staff have cleaned it. We are in the process of, we've got to move everything out, and then we'll do another painting and get the contractors in to put the hood in. So if all goes as planned, along with everything else, we'll be looking at end of May. Okay. The Watford Library and Museum projects are still on hold for right now. as it's the same engineers, architects that were working on the arena and community hall, community complex project. So hopefully I'll be able to move that forward in May once we start the construction on the other project. And we'll get a better idea of what we'll be doing. And we'll be looking at packaging things also, so that if the masonry work that's being done at the old fire hall museum, we'll look at the clock tower at the same time, because that's one of the things we discussed was making sure the bricks of the clock tower were in good shape. So we'll be looking at sort of partnering those projects to hopefully get a better bang for our buck. With regards to the expansion to the Watford Community Arena expansion to community center and arena renovations construction progress. I can now share that, as of the feasibility study report that was presented to council, I believe, I have it in here. I believe it was March 26th, somewhere around there. From this point forward, the project name will be the East Lambton Community Complex. So you will no longer see in our reports a Watford Community Arena expansion. You'll see the East Lambton Community Complex construction update report. And so some movement there. The tender was awarded at the April 12th meeting to Brunenko Construction Limited. And I did include the resolution that was passed by council. It came in at approximately $11.1 million, which is $400,000 under budget. But keeping in mind that this tender did not include the workshop. The workshop is a separate project. So that's $280,000, but we still came in $100,000 under budget overall, which is, we were extremely pleased to be in this position. And at the time of the agenda or the writing of this report, we were in the process of setting up our initial meeting with the general contractor, and that actually happened this afternoon. So our architect engineers, general contractor, two of their sub-trades and staff met, and so our initial meeting has started, and we'll be starting work. You'll see things that have already started that have happened because our staff have completed it. So the fencing from the old ball diamond has been removed. The posts and the backstop and the dugouts are still there because that is the contractor's responsibility. We did the fence hoping we could use it to repurpose for the new ball diamond. It wasn't in good enough shape to be able to repurpose, so we did recycle appropriately, and that recycling or waste diversion helps us in our grant application for the capital grant through FCM. So either repurposing or recycling, and we were able to take it to recycling. So the FCM capital grant is currently in progress. We're working on the initial form, and then the capital application will follow that. So we still are in the process of trying to obtain some funding outside of the capital campaign to assist with this project. With regards to the capital fundraising campaign, I did include, it was an attachment within this agenda. Sue Eggles from Inspire presented the fundraising feasibility study for the East Lambton Community Complex at the March 29th council meeting. And if you've had an opportunity to read that, I'll give you a short summary. We interviewed approximately 30, we had 30 interviews that included 47 people. So it was quite a good representation of the community, and a lot of great information. And the interviews were wonderful, and they were really critical to us starting to develop and really hone in on our plan. Couple of key things that came out of that were the goal for the campaign will be $2 million. That has been established. I'm pretty confident in saying that now. And that there was consensus right across the board that everyone was in favor of the project. There was not one interview or interviewee that had anything to say negative against the project, or that they were against a project, or that they knew of people being against a project type of thing. It was very, very positive. And along with that, we started to identify, our campaign leadership team, who might be some folks that would be good representing the campaign, as well as some possible donors to the campaign. And we have started the recruitment of the campaign leadership team, but that information will be forthcoming. We're just in the first stages of that. And so stay tuned, you'll hear more. Okay. The Parks and Recreation, Tourism and Culture Master Plan development is underway. The preliminary work has been done. Community consultation and planning and implementation stage with council interviews. Their council interviews are taking place next week, where council members will meet one-on-one via phone or Zoom and go through a list of questions with the consultants. And then the following week, I'm setting up our focus groups, which will be split up into user groups. And the other group will be service providers. So those that provide, so like the Optimist Club, our service clubs, that kind of thing. So I'm in the process of getting those set up. And then from there, we have a survey ready. And our goal is to have that survey go live next week for 3 weeks. And that the entire community can have an opportunity to have their input on what they feel the direction for the next 10 years for parks, recreation, tourism, and culture, with regards to amenities, programs, services, I think that's partnerships, all of those type of things will be included in that process. So it's exciting. So it is moving forward. Our Parks and Recreation staff continue to work under modified schedule with the same number of hours per week. So we did move into our full-time staff, moved into their summer schedule earlier, working 7 to 3. And they've been very busy with demolition. So that sounds like a big word to use for removing fence and rocks and those things, but they've got our responsibility for the portion of demolition between the arena and Centennial Hall has been completed. Grass cutting continues. It's actually, they've been very busy. So they're working on a lot of projects to get tidied up, cleaned up before this project starts, or the new construction project starts in May. And it's become very clear that they're very aware of the enormity of the project, the construction project. So they'll be busy getting the interior of the arena ready for renovations in the areas that we have items that need to be removed because of the renovations happening. So office space, storage space, a maintenance room, the lobby space, so right down to pop machines. So we'll be working to find locations for everything, which is interesting because, as a sidebar, we had moved everything because of COVID, because we didn't want people touching things. So we already got a lot of that stuff moved in, but now we need to get into those spaces. So now we got to kind of move that stuff with the other stuff. And so we're trying to work hard work smart and not hard, but there will be a lot of moving around pieces. Our program and events, for the biggest event for us, again, this year as a municipality, was the Homestyle Maple Syrup Festival. We did the packaging and delivery on March 30th. We received approximately 6 follow-ups from residents that had not received their maple syrup. And those residents did receive a follow-up visit with maple syrup deliveries. And if there is still anyone that didn't receive it, I have the extra maple syrup on hand that we can drop off. Just to know, because I did include the budget, I did include a budget for this project. The costs for the maple syrup were higher than 2021, or were higher in 2021 than in 2020. In 2020, because it was unique, it was thought to be possibly a one-time event due to COVID. The company that provides the bottles for the maple syrup gave a significant discount, but understandably, doing it 2 years in a row, they weren't in the same position to do that this year. So thankfully, council had the foresight, and when they budgeted the amount, they were like, no, maybe we should budget more, and we needed that money. So thanks very much.
Let's hope it's just a 2-time event.
Yes, it did go really well. It went really well. The other thing too that impacted was because of COVID-19, our donations for the program were down also, and understandably, because the service clubs were those that donated to this event were heavily impacted on their ability to raise funds in over the past year. So completely understandable. And I would like to thank the volunteers. They're not listed. In case I missed someone, I'm doing it by members. So we had members of council out, members of the Parks and Rec Committee, members of the Watford Optimist Club, members of the Watford Rotary Club, Warwick Fire Department, Watford Fire Department, and we did have staff help out also. So thanks to everyone, because there's no way we could do this without the volunteers helping packing everything and delivering everything. And overall, I think it was very successful again this year. Some other items, the Watford Warwick Horticultural Society plant sale, their first one is coming up May 22nd to 24th. And it'll be the same process as last year, the honor system and COVID contactless plant sale. Is that right? So it'll be the same thing as what we did last year, in that the Horticultural Society will be setting up their plants on the north side of the Watford shop, just along the road area where people can pull in safely and pick up plants, drop off plants. And as much as it's the 22nd to 24th, like that's when they'll be set up, the plants will be remaining out. And there will be other key dates that they will be offering more plant sales. But I haven't identified those yet with the Horticultural Society. Last week, April 18th to 24th was National Volunteer Week. And so this year, we recognized the work of the Watford Warwick Horticultural Society. And I did include in the agenda package the ad that was put out in both papers, and it was included on our social media, and I believe also our website. The Watford, we have many, many key volunteer organizations within our community, and one being the Horticultural Society, and they work really closely with our staff, vice versa, in keeping the community beautiful with all the plants, flowers, the maintenance, the trees, the things that they do, plant sales that help private individuals or companies keep their property beautiful, and the winter decorations and whatnot. So they have a lot going on, and especially this past year, they were able to adapt to doing everything with COVID restrictions. And I don't know if people had the opportunity last year, but the for me anyways, the hanging baskets and the planters were absolutely beautiful. They actually almost made a full circle, which was beautiful in the hanging baskets. So very excited to work with that group. And if people are interested in supporting the group, to follow up with the Horticulture Society to purchase their membership. And that helps supports the good work that they do. And that is my report. And outside of that, there were the attachments. So the Warwick Township Homestyle Maple Syrup Festival budget. You'll see the HST, this is page 32 of your package. The HST is broke out, and that's because we do, as a municipality, get a fair percentage of the HST back. Is that a, and I'm not quite sure the amount, Amanda?
It depends on the item, but it can be anything from almost the full 13 to 10, but it's significant.
So we do have an extra, if we had to pay the full, we'd almost have an extra $100 on there. So you can see with the HST, we're about $150 over budget. So that's our results for this year, which is, I guess, if we needed to do it, if again next year, if that was the case, we have a great, and Amanda's like, no, we have a great now 2 years of budgets, and all the details of where everything was, like all of that stuff is done and ready to go. So, and then we just have the ad from National Volunteer Week, and the Homestyle Maple Syrup Festival ad also was included in your budget. And then the feasibility study report was also included in the agenda package. And that's everything that I had to report on tonight.
Great. Excellent. Thank you, Teresa. Are there any questions on any of that? Seeing none, maybe we'll move to other. Is there any other business that we need to cover tonight? Anybody have anything? Yeah, Martina, and then Wayne.
It's more of just a request. I don't know if it's possible, but I'm finding I don't have enough time from when I receive the agenda until the meeting to get through it all and have time to process it and think about what my questions are. So even if we could have it like a week in advance, I would find that incredibly helpful.
Okay, thank you.
If I can
Go ahead,
speak to,
Teresa.
yeah, and yeah, that was brought up before, Martina, and a valid point. A week in advance would be challenging because you, I don't know that I would have the most up-to-date information for you, but I guess it's something we can look at. But in this case, when it was brought up earlier, like it was brought up last year, that absolutely we agreed to have the agenda out on Fridays. The reason why it was late this time is because I requested it. It's totally me. I was waiting for some more information to be able to include in the agenda package that I didn't have at that point. And I didn't want it to wait until the next meeting because it's another 6 weeks before the next meeting. So that's completely on me, Martina, 100%.
And I know everything changes like day by day. I know. I just honestly right now more than ever, my days are so long and full that if I actually want to be able to contribute to the conversation, I need more time to get through the agenda.
So thank you. So we will work within our timelines to try to get them out earlier, Martina, and see what targets we can set. But at minimum, you can expect to see them the Friday before a meeting is scheduled. And if we can do better, we will do so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wayne, you had a comment?
Just Teresa, maybe for the next meeting, if you could maybe tell us a plan on how you're going to run the arena in August with ice, with construction going give you a month or 2 months, I guess, to think about it. Maybe you can tell us then what your thoughts are. You'll know a little more from the contractor then too.
We have started those discussions.
Okay,
So yes, I should be able to provide more information at the next meeting for sure.
okay, good. That's all I got.
John's got something?
Yeah, Trish, I was just wondering, like the men's league, any of the leagues that are starting, if they're going to start in June, will they be ready to go? Or like, have you been in touch like with Paul Arts of the Ball League and that they'll have the schedules out, or that they'll be ready to go if the COVID resides and we get going?
So the ball leagues, ball hockey and baseball are included in the emails that where we are with the COVID status. I've had some preliminary email correspondence, but now that we've met with the general contractor, I'm thinking probably by Monday, I'll have a better sense of what we can do within the arena and or timelines for the arena. And I will then be able to follow up with all groups, because that was part of my plan, was to be able to touch base with them to say, okay, we're now the end of May for sure. You won't be able to start before the end of May. And so given that, what is it that we're able to do? Because at this point too, we don't know if we'll open up at the end of May or if we'll open up in gray or red. And if we're in red, we still really can't do league play. So there's a lot of variables yet. And so what I've said to staff, I actually sent Parks and Rec staff an update email, and with Amanda included on it. And I said, we'll be treating all of our summer programs, or our rentals and leagues, the same way we did winter ice users, in that we'll plan, but understand that those plans have to be fluid and change with whatever restrictions come up. And then they will have to make the decision as to whether or not they'll continue.
Okay.
I know it's not a great answer.
Mhm.
It's just that we just don't know for
Right.
May, end of May, what we're going to be doing.
Okay.
I don't know. Sorry, Amanda, if you have anything to add to that?
Not really, only just, you're on mute now, but only just to say that we will talk to them, John.
Yeah.
That they will be updated on what we're able and what we know we're not able to do as soon as we know.
Great.
If there's no further questions or things to discuss, would somebody move to adjourn the meeting then? Wayne, and seconded by John, and all in favor? Thank you, and great meeting tonight, and thank you, Teresa and Amanda, for all your input. And thank you to our YouTube watchers, and good night.
Good night.